What's up, Crim Heist? Welcome to another criminology educational video. And for today, we will be discussing fire technology and arson investigation. So before anything else, let me introduce myself. I am Sean Francis C. San Diego, also known as the Professor. And before anything else, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the Professor, and hit the notification bell for you to be updated for my next upload. So today, i-discuss natin is yung science of fire. So what do we mean by science of fire? So ito yung reason behind the existence of fire or bakit ba mayroong apoy or paano ba nakakaroon ng apoy. So first on our list would be the definition of fire. So ano ba ang apoy or ano ba ang fire? When we say fire, it is the product of chemical reaction in which combustible materials burn at sufficient temperature and sustained by oxidizing chemicals. So, ibig sabihin, si fire daw ay ang produkto ng isang chemical reaction. So, what do we mean by chemical reaction? Chemical reaction is a process that leads to the chemical transformation of one set of chemical substances to another. So, ibig sabihin, si chemical reaction daw ay isang proseso ng pagtatransform ng isang chemical or group of chemicals or set of chemicals para mag-produce ng another chemical. So, yun yung chemical reaction. And si fire daw is a product of that process or a product of chemical reaction. So ano ba yung mga chemicals that takes place in that chemical reaction to produce fire? So ito yung tinatawag natin na fuel, heat, and oxygen, and in the form of light of noticeable heat. So therefore, we can simply define fire as a product of combustion or burning. Next would be technology. Technology is the branch of knowledge that deals with industrial arts and sciences. It is the application of such knowledge that is used to produce the material necessity of society. So, ang gusto lang sabihin ni technology is that it applies certain knowledge that can help society to live conveniently. So, technology makes life easy and efficient. Next would be fire technology. So, what do we mean by fire technology? Fire technology, it deals with the science and study of the chemistry of fire and mechanics of combustion to include the principles and fundamentals of fire protection. So, si fire technology daw, ito yung pag-aaral sa science or chemistry or the reason behind fire or bakit nagkakaroon ng apoy or paano nagkakaroon ng apoy, and also the mechanics of combustion or also known as burning. So, kasama rin dito yung principles and fundamentals or basics of fire protection. So, what do we mean by fire protection or fire safety? So, it is the totality of undertakings, process, or systems that ensures person and properties against the effect of destructive fire. Next would be the elements of fire or yung bumubuo sa apoy. And mas kalimitan natin siyang tinatawag as the triangle of fire. So from the word itself na triangle, so mapepresume na natin that there are three elements or it composed of three elements para mabuo ang isang apoy. So yan yung tinatawag natin na oxygen, heat, and fuel. So with these three chemicals, makakabuo raw o makakapag-produce daw ng apoy. So what do we mean by fuel? Fuel is the combustible matter that is consumed by fire. So pag sinabi nating fuel, ito yung kinakain ng apoy or ito yung kinokonsume ng apoy para siya ay mabuhay or para siya ay mag-exist. So a fuel is anything that will burn when heated with sufficient oxygen. It is recognized as the most vital element of fire. So ito daw yung pinaka-importanteng elemento ng apoy. Next would be heat. When we say heat, it is the thermal agitation of matter or increase the temperature at kindling or ignition point. So when we say kindling point or ignition point, ito yung sufficient or rather the specific temperature na kailangang ma-reach ng isang combustible material para siya ay mag-ignite or para mag-apoy. So heat is a form of energy and initiator of fire. It is the source of ignition. So, kaya daw nagkakaroon ng ignition is through heat. Next would be oxygen. Oxygen is the element that sustains the fire. When we say sustain, ito yung nagpapatagal sa apoy or para ito ay mabuhay, para ito ay magtagal. So oxygen is a tasteless, odorless, and colorless gas, which is a common oxidizing agent. It comes from the atmosphere that we breathe. So ang atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, and 1% impurities. So yan yung bumubuo sa atmosphere kung saan tayo humihinga. Only 21% is oxygen, 78% or the majority is nitrogen, and 1% impurities. Next would be oxygen requirements. So ano yung requirements or yung sufficient oxygen na kailangan para magkaroon ng apoy? So pag 12% ang oxygen sa atmosphere or sa paligid natin, walang mangyayaring apoy or fire. Pero pag 14%, magkakaroon na ng flash point. So ano ba yung flash point? When we say flash point, it is the minimum temperature that must be reached in order to release vapor or yung tinatawag natin na usok, which is yung vapor na yon, it supports combustion or burning. So yun yung flash point. While pag 21% na ang oxygen sa ating surroundings, ito na yung tinatawag natin na fire point o ito na yung minimum temperature para magkaroon na ng apoy. Next would be fire tetrahedron. So ano naman yung kakaibahan ni fire tetrahedron kay kay triangle of fire or elements of fire? Si triangle of fire kasi tatlong elements lang yung binubuo niya. Unlike kay fire tetrahedron, 4. So ano-ano yung mga yon? So, ito yung tinatawag natin na heat, oxygen, and fuel, which is nandun din sa triangle of fire. So, ano yung nadagdag? Yung nadagdag is yung chemical reaction. So, fire tetrahedron is a geometric representation of what is required for fire to exist, namely fuel, oxidizing agent or oxygen, heat, and the last chemical or last element is uninhibited chemical reaction. So, the fire tetrahedron is composed of the following. So, ito yung oxygen, which is the oxidizing agent. Fuel, which is it consumes by the fire and the most vital element. Heat, which is the source of ignition. And the last one would be the self-sustained chemical reaction. So, ano ba si self-sustained chemical reaction? Si self-sustained chemical reaction is a chain reaction or a series of reactions that occur in a sequence with the result of each individual reaction being added to the rest. Next would be combustion, ignition, and oxidation. So when we say combustion, it is a complex reaction that requires a fuel in a gaseous or vapor state or yung tinatawag natin na usok, an oxidizer, and heat energy to come together in a very specific way. So once flaming combustion or fire occurs, it can only continue when enough heat energy is produced to cause the continued development of fuel vapors or gases. So when we say combustion, ito yung tinatawag natin na burning. So scientists call this type of reaction as a chain reaction. So it is the self-sustaining chemical reaction producing energy or products that cause more reaction of the same kind. Para ma-sustain or para magtagal pa yung apoy, ito yung nagkakaroon ng self-sustaining chemical reaction or yung tinatawag natin na uninhibited chemical reaction. Next would be the mode of combustion. So merong dalawang mode of combustion. Nandyan yung flameless type and flaming type. So ano yung difference between the two? When we say flameless type, it is the type of fire that does not produce incandescent gas. Therefore, pag hindi nag-produce yung apoy ng incandescent gas, wala kang makikitang flame. While next would be the flaming type, it is a type of fire that produces incandescent gas called flames. Next would be the phases of combustion. When we say gas phase, or condensed phase rather, it is a glowing combustion. So, it is a type of combustion or it is a phase of combustion that does not produce incandescent gas due to less intensity of heat. So therefore, maaari natin siyang itawag or i-categorize as a flaming type or rather a flameless type kasi it does not produce incandescent gas. While yung gas phase or tinatawag natin na flame, it is the combustion that produces incandescent gas. Therefore, pwede natin siyang i-categorize as flaming type. Next would be explosion. When we say explosion, it is a combustion in which the process is confined to produce appreciable pressure. So, lagi nating tataandahan yung word na produces appreciable pressure. So, ano ba ang kaibahan niyan sa detonation? When we say detonation, it is the combustion that occurs if the pressure reaches a supersonic speed producing shockwave. So, ito naman yung lagi nating tatandaan na word or na phrase kay detonation. Supersonic speed producing shockwave. So sa explosion kasi, it literally means pagsabog. So maaari natin siyang gamitin or rather, maaari nating magamit sa explosion or it occurs using high explosives or mga natural way like volcanic eruptions, supernovas, and the likes. While when we say detonation, it is a secondary explosion wherein it creates primarily by little amount of high explosives only. Next is ignition. When we say ignition, it literally means the start of fire. Kaya nga, di ba, tinawag natin kanina or in-explain natin si ignition point or kindling point, which is the temperature na kailangang ma-reach to produce fire or to start fire. So ignition will occur once the combustible matter will start to burn once it reaches its certain temperature to produce fire called ignition temperature. Next would be oxidation. When we say oxidation, it is a chemical change or reaction that takes place upon the introduction of oxygen. So it means yung mga produkto daw o yung mga bagay daw, it slowly ruin or decomposed over time. So a chemical change in which combustible material and an oxidizing material reacts. So may dalawang tawag or dalawang forms ng oxidation. Nandyan si slow oxidation and si rapid oxidation. So first would be slow oxidation. When we say slow oxidation, it occurs so slowly at ordinary temperature, such as decaying, which is the rotting or decomposing through the action of bacteria and fungi. Nandyan din si aging. Ito yung accumulation of oxidized proteins is limited in proliferating cells due to the fact that permanent cell division led to a dilution of damaged molecules. So aging, ito yung pagtanda. Next is rusting. It is a process of rusting, is a combustion reaction similar to fire. Left in contact with oxygen, iron will react with the oxygen to form a rust. Next would be the rapid oxidation. When we say rapid oxidation, it is a result in burning of a material or even from explosion. Maaari rin itong from combustion. Kaya yung mga rapid oxidation is ito yung fire and explosion. So that's all for today. So I hope that you learned a lot regarding the science of fire, the modes of combustion, what are the elements of fire, what are the fire tetrahedron. So if you have suggestions about topics in criminologies na gusto nyong gawan ko ng video, so please comment. Antayin ko yung mga comments ninyo. So again, thank you very much. So please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the professor and hit the notification bell for you to be updated for my next upload. So thank you very much and see you on my next one.